People, Bitcoin has been on the news since the past 3 years now. On one side, while we've got a set of billionaires who believe that it is absolutely bullshit, on the other side, we've got a set of billionaires who think that Bitcoin is the future. While on one side, we've got people who believe that Bitcoin is a threat to the world economy, on the other side, we've got people who believe that Bitcoin will be the very foundation of world economy in the future. And I know for a fact that तुमको इन सारी चीजों से बिल्कुल फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You only care about one thing, and that is
25 दिन में करोड़पति.
Anyways, so since the past few months, I've been doing some intense research to get a sense of this whole Bitcoin hype. And today, I'm about to make a very bold and calculated prediction as to why I believe Bitcoin is the future. And hopefully, by using my calculations, you will be able to open up gateways of opportunity for yourself. So according to me, there are 3 reasons why Bitcoin is the future. The most fundamental reason of all has got to do with what exactly is the meaning of a currency. Now people on the outside, if you ask somebody as to what exactly is the meaning of a currency, they would tell you that it is a standard commodity that can be traded and is recognized by some national or international body. But the truth is, even if no government or official body recognizes a currency, it could still be extremely valuable. At the same time, in spite of all the government recognition in the world, still a currency could be absolutely useless. For example, let's say tomorrow you go to buy Nariyal Pani, okay, and you've got 10 crore rupees in your Google Pay account. If the Nariyal Pani wala says that he will not accept Google Pay, in spite of you being a millionaire, you cannot even buy something as small as Nariyal Pani also. So even with all the recognition that is there for digital wallets and rupee as a currency, your money is absolutely worthless. At the same time, I don't know how many of you know this, but then in prisons in America, ramen noodles is used as a currency, which means if you're a prisoner, you can exchange ramen noodles and get whatever you want. In fact, in a 2016 report, it was stated that the value of ramen noodles inside the prison goes as much as 10 times of its MRP, which means if you've got a 60 rupees ka ramen noodles ka packet, in prison, you could exchange that very same packet to buy 600 rupees worth of commodities. So this is what we call as informal currency. Now if you see, who the hell recognizes ramen noodles? Government to dur ki baat, even the prison does not recognize ramen noodles. Then the question is, how the hell has it been operating as a currency for decades then? Well, that is because a currency fundamentally does not necessarily require a recognition from some official body. It just requires 2 things. Number 1, it needs enough people who believe in the currency. And number 2, it requires a network that can connect all of these believers so that they can carry out a transaction. That's it. Full stop. If it has believers that cannot get in touch with each other, then again the currency is absolutely useless. For example, let's say you go to a remote village in India tomorrow, and if you have got again 10 crore rupees in your phone pay and you want to buy a vada pav, you cannot buy a vada pav unless you find another guy who accepts phone pay. So if you see, even though millions of people all across the world in general believe in digital wallets, if you cannot find another guy who accepts phone pay, you again cannot carry out a transaction. Therefore, for a currency to operate, you only need 2 things. Number 1, believers and a network to connect these believers. That's it. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, the most amazing thing about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin has a lot of believers. And not just that, these believers also include people like Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey, who in this context are acting as influencers, which means what? By using their influence, they can multiply the number of believers in the market, which will eventually get enough believers in the market to turn Bitcoin into a mainstream currency. A very simple example of the same is the $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin that was purchased by Tesla. Now, when Tesla publicly announced that it has invested $1.5 billion into Bitcoin, and the fact that they now plan to accept Bitcoin, millions of people all across the world started believing in Bitcoin and started investing into Bitcoin, as a result of which the value of Bitcoin shot up. Therefore, when more such companies start using their influence, Bitcoin will automatically become mainstream. That is my first reason why Bitcoin is the future, which is the number of believers of Bitcoin are increasing slowly and steadily, and thanks to the internet, the network to carry out this transaction has always existed. My second reason has got something to do with what was mentioned by a startup legend who goes by the name Naval Ravikant. Now people, in the Joe Rogan podcast, Naval stated that if a country begins to understand that its currency is losing value, or maybe if it is at the brink of hyperinflation, then it would use its assets to buy Bitcoin silently and then announce to the world that we have bought Bitcoin, and then it will start using it as a currency. And this is also applicable to any kind of financial emergency for that case. For example, now let's take a hypothetical situation. Okay? Now this is hypothetical, so don't take it seriously. Let's say we need 20 lakh crores for COVID relief in India. Okay? So tomorrow what the Indian government will do is it will invest into Bitcoin silently and then make a grand announcement to the world that we have invested into Bitcoin and the fact that we plan to accept Bitcoin as a currency. Now, the moment this news rolls out, millions of people, possibly billions of people will rush to invest into Bitcoin. The value of Bitcoin will shoot up and then two things will happen. Number one, India could use its return on investment for COVID relief, and number two, Bitcoin will become mainstream. Now, on the outside, it might look like a very, very far-fetched idea, but the reality is, this is happening right in front of our eyes, and it's just that we haven't noticed it yet. Now, this has got something to do with the peculiar investment that Tesla made into Bitcoin. So, if you've been following the story lately, you would know that Tesla saw a meteoric rise in its stock value in 2020. So much that Elon Musk himself saw his net worth increase by $140 billion. Now, when all of this was happening, everybody was talking about it. People were making calculations as to if you had invested $100 into Tesla, how much money you would make today. Basically, anything that they do with a gold mine. Now, when this kind of massive shoot up of stock value happens, there is a certain degree of fear in the minds of the investors that begins to linger because people often start to suspect if it is a bubble which is just about to burst and the fact that they might lose all their money. Now, when this kind of sentiment is prevalent in the market, just like a bubble takes just a slight touch to burst, it takes only a few bad news headlines for the market to panic and then the stock to crash. Now, in case of Elon Musk, even something as lame as he smoking weed at a podcast also results into something disastrous. So during this time, Tesla invested $1.5 billion into Bitcoin. And here's the most surprising fact of all. In the year 2020, Tesla's profit was $721 million. And the profit that they made through Bitcoin is about $1 billion. And here's where it hit me that there is something that I'm not seeing. So I started getting deeper and deeper, and here are the numbers that I found. Now, this is coming from an analysis which was conducted by GLJ Research, which shows that there are two important demand indicators that suggest that Tesla might have a problem stoking demand for its vehicles. Number one, Tesla have already cut the prices of its vehicles several times across the international markets, which includes France, Germany, Japan, and China. And since the new year itself, Tesla has already lowered the price of a vehicle in these four markets for about 13 times. Now, this is something that is unheard of because a few years ago, Tesla faced very less competition. Now, here's a price development graph of Model Y and Model 3 in China. And you will see that in January itself, there was a steep decline in price of as much as 30% and 19% respectively. And not just that, at the end of Q1, Tesla had the largest inventory of unsold units in its history. And based on the reports of shipments and deliveries, a large portion of this unsold inventory appears to be from Europe. And lastly, there's another headline that popped up which stated that Tesla halts production of Model 3 line in California. So to put that straight, while on one side, Tesla's stock is shooting up, on the other side, there is bad news coming from all across the world about the poor performance of the company. Now, this is enough to get the investors to panic during a situation wherein there's already a speculation that it could be a bubble. And over here, if you see, Tesla has very smartly used its Bitcoin investment to overshadow all the bad news so that it can drive confidence among the investors and eventually prevent a stock crash. So if you see, what happened over here is that a billion-dollar company like Tesla has used its influence to get millions of people to believe in Bitcoin, and then eventually it has been able to save itself from the economic bump. Now my question to you is, if a billion-dollar company like Tesla could do it, can you imagine what will be the impact if a country like India or China does it? And as far as my prediction is concerned, someday some giant country will end up doing something like this, and there is a possibility that within a fortnight, Bitcoin will become mainstream. With that, we come to the third reason. The third reason is pretty straightforward, and that is the crypto war which is happening between US and China. Now, I don't know how many of you actually have been following this news, but then China currently is mining about 60% of the Bitcoin in the world. And the United States now wants a piece of the pie. So billions of dollars are flowing in to establish giant setups so that one can be ahead of the other. I'll give you a link to a Wall Street Journal video in the description which will give you an in-depth understanding of the same. So my point is, if two giant superpowers are fighting about something, it is very less likely that it will be something stupid. And that is my third reason why I believe Bitcoin is the future. Now, most people would say that, Bitcoin has got a lot of problems. The energy consumption is very, very high. The currency in itself is extremely volatile, and 100 other reasons could be enlisted for the same. But here's the thing, guys. There are hundreds of problems with the internet. There are hundreds of scams happening even in internet banking. And there are serious security issues even with the very phone that you're holding right now. But if you see, they are an integral part of our lives. Why? Because their advantages outweigh their disadvantages. And similarly, Bitcoin as a currency and blockchain as a technology have got such a huge potential that it is perhaps beyond the imagination of 99% of the world's population. And that is also the reason why, even if you get an inch closer to understanding its potential by doing some deep shit research, it can give you opportunities that 99% of the world's population can't even comprehend. And that is how I would like to rest my case. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button, and to support our work, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.